this company's doing pretty well. I guess
Yeah, that's no, that's it's just a crazy amount of money. I wouldn't expect people to get excited about that.
yeah, yeah.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning.
Oh, there he is.
There they are.
We're all just talking trash about you.
I know, I know. It's
Yeah.
small town Wi-Fi, small town Wi-Fi. Good morning, gents. What's the word today with everybody?
Talking about lead flow.
Let's talk about it. What's the topic?
So I'm just once again, going into my pit that I go into. We need to we need to crunch these numbers a little bit better because that we cut off Facebook and we cut off Angie, but the lead flow that we're getting through Google just is seeming, kind of unacceptable. Now I know last time we spoke, we talked about our marketing guy kind of restricting us, and he said he didn't want to put the big money into Google yet until we finished our testing.
Yeah.
And now he's letting us do that again. But I mean, we're like a week into doing that, and I'm like not seeing anything but a shitload of fake leads right now. Which is annoying because they're like getting past now. They're getting past like I think it's AI or something, but they're all getting past the captchas,
Okay.
and we're getting a whole bunch of fake ones.
So for
What do you
everybody on the call,
what do
what's
you
the
define as a fake lead?
Lead that's either just a wrong number or they put in the info box just like just a whole bunch of type numbers and just like all that stuff, and then also just a whole bunch of, hey, I provide takeoffs and I provide this and I provide that, which I guess those are kind of like they're just not leads. Those aren't fake leads, but they're just inquiries that aren't leads. Spam. Yeah, spam and fake
Spam.
leads. Yeah. But it's we're getting a lot more of those fake ones that we used to not really get those. We used to get them from Angie and stuff, but we didn't really get them from ours because they actually have to present themselves as a human for a couple.
Are
Recording in
you
progress.
are you running Google Ads?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I had too. I had like this period when I was running Google Ads. I had this period of that same exact crap. It seems to come with the territory with Google.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe I
I
guess
don't know. I guess on the other side, it's kind of a litmus test. At least you're getting out there because the spammers are finding you, right?
yeah, someone's finding me. Yeah. I guess it's better
Well,
to be
here's something to think about. When you heard Jordan talking about that, he said, the guy didn't want him to push into it and spend more money, and he's finally letting him do it. Our marketing agencies aren't the ones telling us what we can and can't do. We rely on them for advice. We rely on them for their experience to be able to guide kind of our idea of what we want to accomplish. But ultimately, we are the ones that have to kind of flip what that relationship looks like. I mean, I've got a 9-year-old, and I'll give him some instruction or tell him something to do, and then he'll kind of think like it's a suggestion. And
right.
so it comes from, hey, I need you to, blah, blah, blah. Or would you, if I put in the question, I'll be like, man, I really don't want to do that. Okay, well, let me try this again. Move your ass and grab that thing and take it upstairs.
Right.
And go do what I'm telling you to do, bro. Right. So, we want to be in a position of making suggestions, but really being intentional about, hey, like, I need you to do this for me.
Right.
And so when I've been with Juan where Eddie hasn't necessarily wanted to run a particular ad set because, he's ran them before and maybe it didn't go well, or he thinks it's too competitive or whatever. And Juan's just like, Eddie, run the damn ad. Yeah. Thanks for your suggestion, advice, insight, whatever. Run the ad, Eddie. And then what comes out of it is better results than what was before. And here's the thing, even if it's not, even if Eddie says, see, I told you, we have to be the ones to make the decision that we're willing to take the chance and go against the grain and get the result. So that's where I want everybody to be at is I have a strategy that I want to deploy. You are the pool vessel resource partnership that I use to do that. Let's do it. Thanks for your advice. I'll take it into consideration. But if you want to run it, run it. If you want to spend the money, spend the money. It's yours to spend. The other one is that's the reason why we have multiple channels is that if for some reason something's going on that they don't like in that marketing partnership, we've got other channels that we're relying on. We've got something else that we can shut off in the relationship, test something and be a little bit more aggressive or whatever, but we have other lead flow. So I don't ever want to turn on or off a channel unless I've already got something in the works of other channels that are going to support enough leads for my my overhead, or that I have other channels that are going to be able to support me while I turn that thing off or make a change. So if any of you guys are like doing Google and that's all you do, or Facebook and that's all you do, or whatever you're doing to get leads and that's all you do, don't make any adjustments. Don't shut it off or make any big changes until you have another channel to support yourself with. Those are just a few things I've learned along the way because we've screwed all of that up at some point. So if you're doing just right now Google and Facebook, then I would suggest, an easy next step is to just have a consistent rehash and retarget program. Do shows and events and know that there's enough coming in there. Do radio, print, and mailers or something like that before you change your Google guy or your Facebook, agency. Anybody have more than one channel right now outside of just maybe Facebook and Google that's working for them? What else are you guys doing? No?
I mean,
Oh, go
like
ahead.
Thumbtack and stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
But
there's
do you mean
there's
like,
an easy way to do it, right? Thumbtack, Porch, House, Angie's, things like that are another resource. It's easy to push into, right? More of a pay to play. You take the lead, you pay for it, or you don't. It's a good way to do it. I know that all of them take a little bit of time. This takes time. If I start a QHE up again, I know I'm going to budget at least 3 months of marketing before I even expect anything significant to happen from it. And if I get something, in between, then it's cool. We'll run it and sell it. Put the money back into marketing. Yeah, that's good stuff. Checking in. Who's had some good weeks? Who's had some wins this week? Let's hear from Mr. Adam. Any good week? Any good wins this week, Adam? No Adam this morning. I'm gonna have all you guys jump on the. I'm trying to jump on the camera, but it's not happening. Mr. George Chavez. Good morning, brother. Sorry about
Yeah,
your
what's
Raiders.
up,
Sorry about your
everybody?
Raiders, man. Did you finally kind of get your emotions in check to be able to jump on here? Is that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a little beat down, so I figured I'm gonna come in here to get some encouragement.
There you go.
Yeah, no, it's good to see everybody, man. No, I'm just I guess after a point, when you go through coaching, it's just a matter of you give it so much content and value to grow a business. It's just get out there and do it. You know what I'm saying? Just go and get it rolling. So a lot of that has been happening. And so I'm grateful. This week, was it yesterday? 2 days ago? 2 days ago, I think on Wednesday. Yeah, we closed on what was it, like 80,000 on one day, something like that. So that was a good day.
Nice, man.
Yeah. Yeah, thank God, you know. So my I guess my one of the challenges I'm having right now, or not challenges, but just trying to forecast and prepare for this. If there's anybody here in California that might be able to help out with this, probably not. But I guess one of my questions, well, I have two of them. One is on the project management side. Project management side, super. How do we track their performance? You know, how do we rate it? How do we, hey, you're doing good, you're not, you stay, you're not meeting up to what we expect, and we've given you everything. What more can I do for you? So how do we, how do we track that? And then on the sales side is because of California, we can't take large deposits up front. As far as paying the sales reps their commission, how do we go about not making them wait that long? Because some of these projects might take a month long, 2 weeks, so some of these guys are gonna need their cash flow. Like, yo, I need some money for my beans, homie. Like, what's going on? So what is another way to get these reps taken care of without having them, have to wait so long to get paid their commission?
Yeah, some good questions. What's the group think? What suggestions do we have?
Well, so far, I mean, the main thing that I have number one is just, allocating as the income is coming in because California deposit is only $1,000 and 10%, whichever is less. So even if we're doing a $34,000 kitchen, I mean, a bathroom or whatever, $40,000 kitchen, I'm only getting 1,000 up front. You see what I'm saying? And then after that, we can't bill them for work not completed or materials not delivered. So not until the team hits a milestone, then can we bill, then do we get that money, allocate that 7%, to the commissions account and make sure that's there to get them paid. Um, the only other thing I can think of is having a line of credit or something like that, where we could pay them and then just pay this line of credit off. So, that's about the only thing that I'm thinking of right now without having to get funds from other projects or whatever, just to get them happy for the moment. Um, so that's kind of where I am right now. I'm looking into possibly connecting with some other high performing companies, contractors here in California, see what they do, at least those that do have
Yeah,
sales reps. Except that for some of them, I mean, when it's like a plumbing business, HVAC business, that don't take as long as, actual remodeling companies. So it's
yep,
easy for them to get their sales reps taken care of right away. You see what I'm saying? And I'm talking like $100 million plumbing companies and stuff like that, and they're
yeah,
doing great. But it's not the same situation, not the same scenario. So that's my challenge.
got it. Does the group have any suggestions for George?
What if you make the compensation more of a hybrid of a salary and commission? So that kind of gets rid of that problem.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good option, I guess, because I have them like a 7% commission. So I guess that might just lower the commission to be able to cover some of the salary. Um, that's a good one, actually.
Yep.
Or
So you
you
could
could,
do a
or you
draw
could,
again. Go ahead, Chuck. Yep. Keep it up.
or you could give them an option, right? When you hire somebody, you can have that conversation. Do they want the security of having a fixed portion of their compensation in salary, but they don't get necessarily as much of the upside on the commission, or they're just straight commission? I think there's
Hmm.
probably pros and cons to both, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
good one. Appreciate that, man.
you could do it against the draw, what they call a guarantee. So you can give a guy a salary, but his salary is commission based. So let's say that I'm going to give a guy 35. Let's say he makes 4 grand a month base. Then I know typically he's going to make maybe 6 to 7 thousand in commission, maybe 8,000.
Hmm.
You can do a guarantee, which says I'll guarantee you 4. But when you earn your commission, it's going to go against the 4. So if I've cut you a check for 1,000 and you've earned $2,000 in commission, and I've already paid you the grand, you're only going to
Hmm.
get an extra grand.
Right, right.
You're not going to get 1,000 plus whatever you've learned. That's going to be then, held up against the future commission so that, you know what I'm saying? So no matter
Yeah.
what, you're guaranteed this money. But if you're not going to earn commission and on top of, so you can still say the 7%. It's just here's a 40,000 base, 7% commission, and it's a guarantee. So they'll always make the 7%, but know that they've got the 40 to fall back on. The one thing, if you do that, is it's a very performance based, metric driven system, in that if they're only sitting falling back on the 40, eventually you got to let them go, because the
Yeah.
goal is they have to be able to perform enough that they're hitting the 7, which under your KPIs would be 80 or something like that, right?
Yeah, and that's where in the marketing matrix you have all that where you can see the sales reps' performance to see if they're meeting the P factor or not. And then, of
Right.
course, you want to bump them up, encourage them, coach them. Hey, what's going on? How could we help you? But if it's just not there, like, hey, bud, as much as I love you, yeah, you're just not cutting it, man. These are the results we expect, and you're not delivering. What more
The
can I do now?
The other thing for everyone to think about is you can do whatever you want in the way that you pay things out, especially customer deposits, if you just manage it in your cash flow. So, George can only take 10% if he has kind of this own internally financed line of credit to be able to watch how that cash revolves. So when he knows he's got a $50,000 project, he's getting $5,000 down, he can go into his cash flow sheet. And George is like, nah, that's not
No,
happening.
it's 10%, it's $1,000 or 10%, whichever is less.
There's less. So $1,000, he can forecast it out and see it. But let me ask you this. You can't charge if you order material. Upon ordering of material, it has to be dropped.
It has to be delivered, yeah. I mean, typically, I rarely have any issues with clients paying me on time because it's in my contract. So we're really
Sure.
good on that. Deliver material, send out the invoice, whatever the material is, it might have been 20%, I'm billing them 35%. You know what I'm saying? And then
Yeah,
after
you
that, I
got to get
just
to the material drop, the difference, the spread, the gap, right?
Yeah, and then I do with line of credits, suppliers, all that stuff. So I'm stressed on that too much. But still, yeah.
Yeah, Ryan Kelly would be a good resource. He does big $150,000, $200,000 projects, so he knows how to take $1,000 and cash flow the rest of it, right? But that would be my suggestion, is like, if we could, and understanding the law better, is just the stages, right? Just try to get as much of the stages. It sounds like you're already doing that.
Does he have Ryan K? I know he does some of the sales, but does he have sales reps on his team?
Yeah, he does or did.
Okay, cool. I'll
Yeah,
try
I
to
think he
connect
had
with
like
him.
2 or 3.
Okay, cool.
Yep. That's a big thing, is I see some guys here on the call and we'll ask questions. Some of you guys are in the mastermind. We'll ask questions. Some of you guys reach out to me individually. It's cool. Take advantage of the group and to post questions, not only in our group, but in others as well. Like George was saying, like he can post it in the CLA, but it's probably going to get a better result if he posts it in like a California based group. But you never know. Throw it out there and give it a rip and see what you come up with. And you might get some perspective you hadn't got had we just, sat here with who we have on the call.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, even some of these
No
pointers you guys
downside.
gave me this morning are really good. Just, hey, I'm expecting you to, let's say you make 8K commission, I'm going to guarantee you the 4, just to help you with your weekly and all that. But, once you sell it, that's already been paid. So we just balance it out. And then this is info that I need for my HR so she can put this into the policies and agreements so they agree and understand, and I don't have to be dealing with the fits down the road about like, oh, you said this, well, I did this. It's clear. Can't be any more clear than this. You know what I'm saying? So that's good stuff. But yeah,
Yep.
I appreciate it.
I had a webinar thing with a bunch of guys that do septic work, and there was a guy from Hawaii and a guy from California, and they both talked about the same thing that you're struggling with. And I guess what they do is they mark the shit out of their materials. Like their materials are like 80% of the job. And like day one, they'll show up, dump all their materials. Like they make it look like a staging ground, put all their materials on site, and they're collecting that up front. So I don't know if that would help you, but
I
I
did
think
think
what
about that
Ryan does,
actually.
and where I was coming from is like that initial like material order. I want to say that Ryan does some kind of staging like really fast. So if it
Mhm.
requires some type of equipment or it requires like sometimes they'll ask them about it, but I feel like there's something that they have that they drop like right away within like a 3-day
Mhm.
rescission or whatever the rule is out in California for people to cancel the contract. As soon as that date hits, bam, he's got material. And like Chuck was saying, he marks the bejesus out of it, and that kind of
Mhm.
catches him up a little bit. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, I did actually think about that direction. Because when it comes to, again, we get someone like these ADUs and additions, 250,000 projects. I did think about getting all the material because we can do a takeoff down to the screw, get all the material, dump it off. But these projects are about 6 months out. And so if we get a handful of stuff left over, then you can't return it. Now we just, gonna be sitting there, whatever. So that's the other thing I was thinking about too, on the other hand. So unless we do just a little bit short on material, knowing for sure we're gonna need all this stuff, and if there's any little bit extra that we need after once we get to that phase, then we get a little bit of extra, but just for the purpose of being able to collect everything up front. So that might be
yeah,
another side.
yeah.
Nice.
Um,
Six.
there we go. Line of credits, gents. If you guys don't have line of credits, I would recommend that everybody go get a line of credit. Some people say, "Oh, I don't want to run my business off of debt. I want to run my it's cash only, cash." That's cool. If you want to grow and scale, having a line of credit's not a bad thing. And so before I even sold my first window, I went out and got a line of credit because there was probably times in the business where had I went and requested one, they would have told me you've lost your ever loving freaking mind, get out of my bank. And by the way, pay your insufficient funds fees, please. Your bank account. Pay your fees, please. Right. So either whether it's a corporate credit card or something like that that you stick in a drawer, give to somebody, and have them hold on to it for you, so you don't use it. It's good to have one for particular reasons like this when you get a big job and you've got to try to cash flow it. Does anybody not have a line of credit? There's some of you from a cash perspective probably don't need one. And if that's the case, cool. But if you feel like there's times in business where you feel like that one will be beneficial, go for it. And there's certain ways to stage it up. If you're afraid of servicing the debt, there's ways to do it that you can't service the debt without having. You can do it automatically.
On sales reps, do you guys again
Bro, you
going back
already asked
here?
your questions, George. You're done. You only get like 2 tokens, bro.
That's what this group is for, man. Sometimes.
No, one more, and you're done. What?
Hey, on the yeah, man. It's because I run meetings sometimes and I get
Don't
frustrated
pop
when
in
people
like
don't ask
one
me
time out
questions,
of
man.
6 months, and then all of a sudden just bogart the whole thing. I'll send you a link, bro. Hit the
No,
Stripe
yeah,
link, and then
I
you can
know,
ask all
right?
the questions you want. Now go ahead and go for it.
All right, sales reps, real quick. Let's say, boom, job is sold for $20,000. Down the road, there's change orders, subtract, add, whatever. Do the sales reps keep the same number that only the number that they originally sold with, even if the project gets marked up another 10 grand, goes up
Uh,
another 10 grand?
Drew, when Jessica makes some suggestions in design and the project the scope creeps, does Brian get to participate in that extra scope creep, or from a commission standpoint, or is he locked in, or is there like a split, or how do you guys do that?
We do a split. So ours is whatever Brian sells that design agreement at. He takes like an average number in there, and then anything that Jessica bumps the project up in the beginning or design suggestions, she gets half of the commission out of that. But Brian still has to do the paperwork end of it, so he gets the other half.
So this is finalizing the design to eventually get the overall confirmed contract number, right? But this is what I mean is like after once there are change orders, like projects already sold, signed, boom, number locked in, but down the road now there's change orders. Project goes up, another 12 grand, 8 grand, because we've had this happen. One project, 14 change orders, went up like 50 grand. So that's kind of like more what I'm talking, which I'm thinking no, because they're already not involved in that. but still want to get input.
Yeah, for us, it's whoever's handling that. So if it's project manager, who's handling like talking to the client about those change orders, they're getting a portion of that, and then whoever's handling like the paperwork end of it from the office and making sure that's all collected is getting the other one. So for us, it's still our sales guy because he's doing all of the paperwork end of it. So he's getting his portion, and then either the project manager or the designer. For us, we're very design heavy. So the clients generally aren't going to the project manager with change orders. So they're going back to the designer and wanting to address with her. So.
Okay. Well, good stuff. Nice.
Yeah, we do the same. If there's the sales guy always gets a piece just of the fact that he brought the job, was able to do his job and close it down. So everybody even has a shot to design something or to project manage something. And depending on the stage, the other person gets a piece of that commission for that.
Okay. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Period. Thank you, guys.
Now that we don't have to hear from George anymore for the rest of the call, who else is anybody else has something they want to throw into the ring here as far as
Yeah, right, man. I got enough stuff to go implement, so I'm out. That's the stuff I needed. I'll see you guys, I don't know, maybe next
you
week,
don't want to
maybe next
contribute
month.
and help people in the group? You don't want to have suggestions or anything like that? Is that man, I'm glad that you and I got together, man, because you would never be able to have a girlfriend. Now they're like, oh, thanks for the meal, baby. Boop, out the door, right?
We need questions to make suggestions.
George
Monk
is
off
all
mug.
Netflix and no chill. All right, man. That's cool, man. That's cool. All right. Well, yeah.
All right,
Feel free whenever you're ready to bounce, buddy.
I'll pass the mic.
Okay. Anybody else? Anything they're working on this week that we need to talk about, or we want to move on to dig into a few topics today? Anybody? No. That's it.
I'll break the silence real quick. I don't have a whole lot to add. Necessarily, I'm kind of in a little more of a unique situation though than what you guys got going on. But I want to go kind of circle back to the Google ad spams that came in, like the influx of spam calls. We touched on that a little bit earlier. Can anybody offer like a great resolution for that? Because that is pretty much all I'm getting right now is spam calls.
Has anybody been down this road that they like Chuck? You kind of talked about like, hey, that's kind of just par for the course, and eventually sorts itself out. Has anybody been down this road and then seen or done something that got them to the other side of it, maybe quicker, or just kind of eliminated 70% of it and got to the good stuff?
It really pissed me off when I first started getting all of it because it was such a waste of time. Eddie kind of just said some of it comes with the territory. How long have you been running Google ads?
Your mic's muted.
Nope, I think
Nate-
she's
Nathan's
muted.
iPhone. She's muted. Nathan's iPhone.
No, okay.
Well, at any rate, I know for me, after like the first 30 days, maybe 60 days, it really dropped off a lot. It was that first kind of burst that I dealt with it a lot. But after that, I mean, I still get it. I still get it on Facebook too. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I think some of it comes with the territory. If you're not willing to pay somebody to manage it internally and not have to deal with it, or you just deal with it yourself. I mean, that was kind of the end of the result that I kind of dealt with.
Did you have
Yeah.
to block all those numbers kind of one by one as they were coming in just to not get calls from them again?
Yeah, like you can block the way I had my Google ads set up, it was coming in, they would hit my link on my website as an inquiry. That's how we were tracking it. So I would get those inbound leads from my website and see it that direction. I don't necessarily get a ton of spam from direct phone calls. I mean, I did a little bit, but most of it was inbound on how we built the ad. The ad directed them to my intake on my website so that we could track all of that. So that's where I was getting it all from. I was getting the same thing, like, the takeoffs, I don't know how many wives that I almost bought from Russia that they wanted to send me. It was all that same crap. It was all the same stuff.
Okay, sorry. I don't
Yeah.
know how my phone got muted too, and it wouldn't let me get back to unmute it, but I was listening, guys. I appreciate it. I didn't know if there was an easier resolution. More concerningly, Google themselves have put some sort of a filter on the calls coming through. So they're automatically blocking a lot of spam calls, but I guess real call was blocked that should have came through. What was that?
Are you getting it from your Google business profile for calls, or are you getting it from your ads?
Getting it from the Google ads. So I'm not the one paying for the Google ad subscription that I'm working for essentially. And I'm trying to just help streamline his entire process, like sales process, and again, be like a customer liaison.
Hold on, I got him. Hold on. All right, I got it. Go ahead.
Yeah, but monitoring, I've been monitoring the phones, and it just seems like anymore. I don't know. He's running a commercial that actually airs today, so I'm hoping that'll really generate a lot of a lot more calls as well. But right now, I just feel like majority of the calls I'm getting are spam calls that are getting generated through like Google ads and whatever other advertising sources he's using right now. So I didn't know if there was just an easy resolution to it, or even if it was a hard resolution, some sort of resolution to that.
Yeah, some of that AI crap, it sucks because that was one of the reasons that it was suggested to have, instead of a direct phone response to the ad, is to have it through an intake form on a website. That was what was communicated to me. Because if you use just a phone number and you blast it out there, like they're literally using AI and robot crap to they'll just pound you to death with it. But if you have to have a couple of intelligent steps, like you have to enter your zip code or you have to enter your name to get that to go through, that was one of the filters that I used, and it cut back quite a bit.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, again, that's why I would always, book out a little bit of time and a little bit of expense to be able to let things kind of sort themselves out and be intentional and, like you said, track and see if you can filter and things like that. But I would never really start a business and just try to have one marketing channel. If I fired QHE back up again, it would have, I'd be Google, Facebook, we'd probably throw a door knocker out there, make sure that there's a show or an event that I could hit. And so I'd be doing most of that simultaneously. So, for me, it's put the money out there, grab the lead, go sell the job, try to complete it as fast as I possibly can, take that money, and immediately I'm going to hire somebody that's going to help manage or direct or be in charge of kind of helping the lead generation piece of the machine keep going. Because that's going to be my biggest challenge is who in the heck is this company and why should I hire them, and keep the opportunity, because most of you guys here can go out and sell the job. So we've already got that covered. You know how to produce the work or find the people to produce the work. We've already got that covered. We need opportunity, and that's the gig. So yeah, just make sure you have multiple channels so that you have enough of the filtered good stuff to come through to be able to keep things moving for you. That's the key. Good question, though. A good question. Anything else sales related? We'll do a round robin and then we'll dive into a few things here. Round robin, anything sales related that somebody has a question on? Handling an objection. Sales guys, hiring, developing, training. Nothing? Buddy? Nope. Okay, production related. Hiring people, dealing with homeowners. Financials, cash flow. Nope. Okay. All right. Cool.
We're all
Um,
perfect, Brian. We're all perfect.
that's awesome, man. I'm glad that everything's working out well for everybody. That guys
Yeah.
just wanted to chill on a Friday.
Yeah, we
Brian,
Friday
Brian
morning.
is gonna shut this whole thing down if somebody doesn't start talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the point, right? That's the point. That's the point of the whole thingy. All right, so let's talk a little bit about, and we talked about this yesterday, and I wanted to go back and circle around to the topic of debt, or not debt, probably debt a little bit, right? Of cash utilization. And so, one of the things Sean brought up in the conversation was about buying a vehicle, and if we're going to grow and scale our businesses, and we all need to make capital investments, and I was talking to a guy, I went to a conference and I was talking to a guy that I've known over several years. And he reminded me of a time when he asked me about the net profit of the business. And he was, in a way, kind of talking a little bit of smack. It's kind of funny. And about how I had met him we had met for the first time at a conference. And he asked me about my business. And I said that I had a 5% net profit. And the reason that I had, and so he kind of had this idea that I didn't know what the heck I was doing, right? And because we didn't really talk a whole lot after that, he kind of just figured that I was one of those guys. So what we talked about was when you're growing and scaling the business, you're going to have to take a lot of capital investment and put it back into the organization. So one of the things when you're looking at your profitability, if you're looking at your P&L and it says a certain number, one of the things that investors will do, private equity firms, roll-up guys will do, is they'll do what's called add backs. So an add back is taking the money that you've put into the expansion of your business. So whether you're buying material, you got an office building, hired people, whatever it may be, they'll do an add back and they'll take those dollars invested and then they'll put them back and contribute it back down to the bottom line. And then they'll look at your financials based off of that. Because what they're looking for is two things. One, the profitability of the organization when it's in a stable state, where there's no growth that's happening. What could we expect this company to return to us? And the other thing they'll look at and they'll add back would be anything that compensated that's related to the owner. So they'll take any salaries that you're paying yourself, cell phones, vehicle payments that are really, personal vehicles that we're attributing to the business, and they'll add those back. And then that goes down to your EBITDA or whatever financial metric they're going to use. So number one, if you guys are looking at your bottom line and it doesn't look that good, you don't forget to do an add back. And an add back is going to give you what that company's profitability is in a steady state. Okay. And that might help it look a little bit better. Number two, the thing that you want to look at is, in the course of growing the business, is it able to be profitable still? So, in that expansion, every year we grew our company, we doubled the size of it. And what investors look at is they look at about a 15 to 20% growth rate. That's kind of a good solid trajectory, right? That they're pretty happy. You don't have to double it or go freaking crazy on it, but you need to have some movement of some sort. So that being the case, can you grow your business and still have positive cash flow and profitability? And that's almost much more attractive to an investor than just having a steady state company that produces a certain amount of net profits, because the investor is looking to grow and scale the business and recapitalize it. They want to flip it, right? So when a private equity group or somebody like that comes in, and I know a lot of us in this call here are smaller guys, and that just seems like crazy town that a PE firm would ever buy you. The point being that if you can grow and grow profitably, that means the private equity firm doesn't necessarily have to fund your growth. They don't have to throw a bunch of money. Now they can do it, and that's the intent, but that you'll still show positive cash flow. Okay. So think about buybacks and think about the fact that if you are, add backs, and if you are growing right now, and you're still remaining profitability, you're actually freaking crushing it. So don't be upset by a 3%, 5%, 6% net when somebody else is popping 20 and they're not really growing. Now, if you look at like Lawn, where he's still popping net and he's, probably going 50 to 70% every year, right? That's a good trajectory to be on. That's really, really doing well. And so you can manage your overhead to be able to accomplish something like that, right? So the point being is the reason that works is cash utilization. So we'll land the plane, right? We'll set the stage here. It's cash utilization. How are you using your cash effectively to go and scale and grow your business versus taking on debt and taking on cash suck kind of projects to be able to get there? And one of the things, guys, after our call yesterday with Sean, he was talking about getting a truck. It also made me think about maybe someone like Charles. So Charles does outdoor, septic tanks and different types of events that require equipment. And Chuck has a couple options. He finds subs that have the equipment, he rents the equipment, or he purchases the equipment. Nathan has stuff in his business, same thing. He needs equipment to be able to fulfill it. Steven might have something similar to that, right? A lot of us can sub out and let the guys bring their crap with them. So Chuck, tell me, what would be the piece of equipment, so I can use it as an example, that you would buy that would make your business bigger, better, faster, save you some time, money, something like that? What would it be?
Well, I can tell you right off the rip, I do all three of those things that you just suggested. But
Yeah.
the items that I choose to own are the ones that I consistently use. I have time constraints and I have to have available to me all the time.
Yep.
And are the kind of core of my business. That's excavator, dump truck, skid steer, like all that stuff is gotta have it.
Yep. So then do you typically lease it or do you pay cash for it when you get it?
In my business, I made the decision to purchase it outright and minimize debt in my business. So that's what I made a decision to do.
Okay, perfect. And then when you think about the minimization of debt, some people have, my buddy is that way too, right? Like he has little rental houses and in his own house and his vehicles. He doesn't buy anything unless he can pay cash for it. And so for you, it sounds like you're just, hey, my philosophy in business is I want to have a debt-free business and things like that. Is that kind of what you're trying to ascribe to in the way you make decisions?
Pretty much. I mean, I view that as really giving me a lot more freedom. And I'm not tied to a payment every month or tied to a debt service at any given point, then the decisions that I make on a daily basis are probably going to be different, right? So that's kind of what drives that for me.
Sure, 100%. And for context too, Chuck has his business that he runs while he has had a 20-year long profession that he maintains, right? And so he's in a transition point for next year, right? To be able to take on that, make that transition, going to retire, and then go all in on this thing here. So let's talk about, and I'm working really hard. Our Wi-Fi out here is jacked, so I'm trying to see if I can somehow get my camera. I don't think is going to work, but I can definitely try to get maybe like an online sketch pad or something. So in the meantime, I'll just try to describe it and set up the stage. So the debt utilization is this. Chuck, how much is that going to cost you to buy one of those if you wanted to buy a second one? Because I think you have one already, right?
If I bought a new excavator, about $130. If I bought it used, probably 80.
Okay. So $130 to 80. Let's use $100,000 so we have a nice round number. When Chuck buys that piece of equipment for $100,000, right? Now that $100,000 is in that piece of equipment, and he doesn't have to worry about the payment. Now, Chuck, if you leased it, what would that payment run, you think?
It depends on the terms of the lease. That's kind of the con to some of that, because a lot of the leases on big equipment like that, they only give you like 2 months, or 2 years. So that's kind of as far out as you could go. I would guess, let's just say $3K a month. That's probably
Recording
a
stopped.
fair bet.
Okay, so we say 3K a month. And then would you have a balloon at the end of that 2 years then or something? Because that gives you
Yeah,
about
they
72.
they
Right.
typically let you buy it out or whatever you decide to do at that point.
Perfect. Okay, great. So at 3K a month, now let's say that Chuck has $100,000 that he has sitting in his bank account and he's ready to go bite the bullet and get this thing. He puts the $100,000 into the equipment and the equipment's going to be used. He doesn't have to make the lease payment. It depreciates over time. He always has access to it, whatever the case. What we want to do is think about the debt utilization. And it's like you said, I have people that I'm already doing all of that. So we can increase our subcontract base of other guys that might have the equipment. Maybe we're limited and those guys are at full capacity. If we take that $100,000 and we use it to and we lease the vehicle, right now what we have is we have $100,000 set aside, and then we're starting to depreciate, or we're starting to take that $3,000 and pull it out of the $100,000. Now, if we figure $3,000 over 12 months is 36K, let's take $50,000 and set it aside just for the security standpoint of that, to know that I have the cash to always have one available to me, whether I rent it or whatever. And so that provides Chuck with security. He can make decisions knowing that he's always going to have it, right? Even though he's locked down to a payment, that money is set aside. It's secure. He'll always have this piece of equipment for the next year because he's always going to be able to make his payment. What that does is that frees up $50,000. Now, if we know that Chuck has an average sale, or I'm sorry, client acquisition cost of how much, Chuck? What's your average job size? Maybe on the nicer projects we'll use that you would use an excavator.
I don't know. You could probably go $600. That's probably close.
Okay, so we use 500 actually just for a nice round number. If you think about that, what Chuck has then in that $50,000, 500 or 50,000 divided by 500, is Chuck has the ability to acquire through his CAC, cost of client acquisition cost. He has a chance to acquire 100 new clients. So Chuck, when you have 100 new, what's the average job size for that CAC? 500 to get a new client?
40K, probably.
Okay.
35K, maybe.
So we take that times 35K. That means that Chuck, with that $50,000 in cash that we've set aside, knows that he has a year of this piece of equipment available to him. And we can use that $50,000 that's left over for this client acquisition, that he can acquire 100 new clients based on his metrics. I think George brought it up, the marketing matrix, right? Because now it's historical data. And that average sale is 35 to 40. That's $3.5 million of top line revenue. Now, if Chuck's average gross profit is what, Chuck?
Somewhere around 50, high 40s, low 50s.
Okay, so let's call it 40 to be conservative. What that turns into is it turns into $1.4 million of gross profit, or what we would call contribution cash. And that's money that can be used for other things, because at this point, or maybe not, we might have a lot of the overhead already taken care of through just normal operations. Because remember, this is money that's just set aside. Now we could say, well, I need this equipment to do any work or to do whatever, and so that's what it's going to help me do. It's not covering, or we're not outpacing, or it's not a new add-on. Let's just say that it's just part of the startup phase of everything. Well, if we take it and say, well, with overhead and all this other stuff, we might be showing and let's be conservative and say a 10% net profit. So that's $140,000 of net profit that we have acquired, real in our pocket money that we have from the investment of that we started with $100,000. So we start with $100,000. We have the piece of equipment we need, and we've been able to acquire $140,000, which Chuck can then, because remember, once you build the job, you're getting your marketing money back. So we've produced all of the work. We've got our $50,000 initial investment back. So now I'm back in the bank account. We have the piece of equipment we've been using to get it in our driveway. We now have an additional $140,000. So now if we looked at our bank account, theoretically, we'd have $190,000. Chuck's paid this off over the course of however long, and we can go back and we can churn that. Now, one thing Chuck's going to say, or might be on top of his mind, is I'm not producing $3.5 million in a year off of that piece of equipment. That might take me 3 years to produce that. Right. If that's the case, just for production capacity, that's fine. What I wanted to show you guys is at least that he's pocketing another $30,000 in cash. He's got his $50,000 back that he has used to generate that, and he still has the piece of equipment. So no matter what, Chuck is getting ahead financially to the point that he could pay off the balance and still have more money left over than what he started with, and he has the piece of equipment worth $100,000. Did you guys follow that? Does that make sense for y'all? So when we think,
I get how you're leveraging the debt there. That makes sense.
yeah. So remember, when we have it, it can go down. Sean's example the other day was buying a production truck just so that his guy didn't have to drive his own vehicle around. Right. And that's huge. So we just want to make sure that in the course of looking at how we're managing and utilizing the cash that we have, that we're not pumping it. Same thing when you pump it into a piece of equipment or an office building or whatever it may be, we're thinking, man, I really hate paying $2,500 a month for this office building. I'm just going to buy it. No, I don't want to buy it. I want to leverage the debt to be able to take the cash or the money that I would have used to buy it, if it's turned into cash, and make more money with it because I'm getting a 1 to 10 return. I can't get a 1 to 10 return on a truck. My money is in the truck. So I don't pay things off just because I can. I try to leverage everything. An example would be my mother. We always grew up poor. We were always broke. And my mother's big thing was that she wanted to pay her house off. She wanted to pay her house off, pay her house off, pay her house off. Why did she want to pay her house off? Because there were times when she couldn't make her mortgage payment. There were times when she was in foreclosure. There were times when this thing that she had spent 10, 15 years raising her family and wasn't going to be hers anymore because she couldn't make the payment. Right. So if I pay this off, I'd never have to worry and have the emotional impact of working towards something that can be taken away from me. And so what happened to my mom is my mom ended up being real estate rich and cash poor. And I would encourage her, like, Ma, at the end, kind of Katie and I were kind of filling the gap for her financially or whatever. But what I told her was, Ma, you need to just do a reverse mortgage on the house. And reverse mortgage is where money pays you out. So you have a, $500,000 house, you're retired, you can't work, you're disabled, whatever the case is. They'll basically like make a mortgage payment to you. And then when you die, they get the house. Or your kids can buy back the difference or whatever it is. But I told my mom, why wouldn't you do that? Well, I don't want some. I worked hard to get that. You're still going to have the house. They're not going to take it from you. And they're going to give you money to live in it. But it's a pride thing. So what I don't want people to do in the course of building their business is become equipment rich and marketing money poor. Equipment rich and PM payroll poor. But you'd be surprised at how many times I hear from like the guys that especially do exterior like dirt work that have all these. Guys, look at all my trucks, look at all my stuff, look at my dump trailers and my and all that. But then they tell me they don't have enough money for marketing. to be able to use all the stuff that they've got.
We can say ouch.
And I see it here in town. I live in a small town, 10,000 people. Like, this is a normal conversation, right? So what's a move that you guys are my move is that I always want to think about my cash utilization of how I can use $1 today and turn it into $10 tomorrow. If I can't, if I have no possibility, then yeah, maybe I'm going to go buy something or get a piece of equipment or whatever that may look like. But dang, I'm trying to leverage the crap out of it. I'm trying to leverage it, and that's why I don't let cash sit around. Luan will kind of share, and Luan and I were talking about this in Las Vegas when he came out, is, he's got almost 7 figures sitting in a bank account. And I can share this stuff we talk about. He shares it with you guys all the time. Sitting in a bank account, that's not being utilized and leveraged. Just a money market account, for crying out loud. Right? Something that's liquid. Well, I got to have access because sometimes we'll have big swings, depending on how the pipeline's running, $100,000 swing, cool. In a money market account, you can transfer it really fast. You can have it in a few days. So I'm always thinking about how you have your cash and how you're leveraging it. That's the thing. I want it in marketing. And then if you have the cash and you're leveraging it and you run into capacity, like Chuck could say, we totally get it. And that would be nice if I could produce that in a year. That's probably just not going to happen. Right. Well, then that's your next focus, is if you have the cash to drive the leads, but you can't sell them, you know what to focus on. If you have the cash to generate leads and you can sell them, but you can't produce them within 6 weeks or whatever a typical run rate for that job is, even from an industry standard, you know what to focus on. Right? No point in producing cash if we can't either increase lifestyle. And here's the second part that we look at is increasing legacy wealth. I can't increase legacy wealth if I'm not utilizing my cash. The creation of legacy wealth is used not by putting more money into the bank. It's like putting money into the bank and then watching it gain interest or gain value. So if you want to change the financial trajectory of your business, you can bring it down to a single goal. I need to produce as much cash as I can, as fast as I can, so I can benefit from the exponential growth of it over time. That's it. You will change the trajectory of your family forever if you can continue to put money into a vessel that has exponential growth. And for sometimes it's our business. You guys ever hear that? Oh, the economy sucks. The stock market sucks. You know how much? Oh, my little account dropped X amount of dollars. Well, it's not happening in my business. So if that's your best vehicle of economic growth, of all the little investments or things you got going on, parlay it. Let it rip. Let it rip. So hopefully that was something for you guys to think about and resonated a little bit. I haven't been checking the chats. Any questions along that, or what are your guys' thoughts? Any of you have been kind of accomplishing that or thinking about it, or what's the conversation around that look like?
Brian, real quick question for me. So, we went through this discussion yesterday and it kind of figured out it was, the 2,500 I was going to spend on a truck is way better suited to go 2,500 into marketing, which will give me $10,000, hopefully extra a month cash flow, which will easily pay for the truck. The problem I have is, so all of a sudden then our job rate increase and poses new problems then to produce that extra work to give me that 10,000. So how do you flip fast enough to deal with that?
No, that's great, right? That's what I was kind of mentioning before, when you think like, oh, if I can generate the leads, but I can't sell them because I can't get to the leads, right? Now you know what to focus on. And if I can't produce it fast enough, or, to get the 10,000 a month, because now I need to do 2 extra jobs a month that I wasn't doing before, well, what does that look like? And so it's just another, problem set that you might want to focus on and see. You might be surprised. Maybe you do have a little more capacity, or Sean, like you said, well, my guy's driving his truck and that's the reason why I want to get the truck. But if we're doing more production, he's driving the truck even more that I don't want him to drive. That's cool, but remember, your problem only lasts what, Sean, 6 weeks?
Until it's smoothed out and you've got a new plan and things are flowing again, probably, yeah, you're right.
Well, remember, if you can get two, remember, guys, what we forget about is we're thinking about the long-term effect of something. We got to remember there's a small term, the small term flip is really the deal. And the small term flip is, I spend the money, the 2,500 to get the leads. The leads show up. I go run the lead because I can, that's fine. Now we've got to produce it. So what do I have to do to produce it? I got to get another sub. I got to find one more sub that can take these extra 2 jobs on. We can do it. I got the capacity for it. I just got to probably be a little more intentional on my organization. But once you produce it, you're going to have the $10,000. So maybe the solution is the 2,500 for the truck. But guys, you got another $8,000 or 7,500. You could bring a PM on for $5,000 a month, and you're still ahead 2,500. And now you have a PM to do it all over again, because not only do you have a truck, you have a PM, and you got 2,500 to do what, Sean? Do it again.
Not more marketing, yeah. Work. Funny how that
Do
all
it
works.
again, and now your PM can take on 3 jobs. And that job at $12,000 average sale, 50% GP produces 6. And guess how long that actually took you? It's like 2 or 3 months later. And now you've got 6. So guys, the mistake that we make is that when we're making money, we're holding on to it and we're thinking about, Chuck might want to buy another and say, man, when I get to July, I'm going to need another piece of equipment or the dump trailer or the this or the skid steer or whatever. And that's on his mind. He's like, man, I got to get this money put together by this time. And so even the jobs he may be doing now is he might be holding on to it and trying to build that up. Right? Well, those are jobs that would be best utilized for marketing. Because guys, if we can just produce, again, I go back to this, it's the one more. If I can just produce one more job than I've been producing before and I'm ahead of my overhead, we don't have to produce 5 more, 10 more, 15 more. It's just one more. And in Sean's example of a 12,000 average sale, Chuck's example of a 35 on the bigger jobs, even at 40% GP, that's another 12 or 15,000. Why? Because he was able to do one more job than he did the month previous. That's it. So when I get that one more job, I can take the 12,000, put it in the bank, 12 more thousand, put it in the bank, put it in the bank, put it in the bank. But remember, if I can do 12,000 in net per like in my pocket money, and I can use it to just, I don't have to use all of it, just $2,000. Or if my CAC is like 1,000, let me put 2,000 or 3,000 into it because there might be some inefficiency eventually. I might not get the same rate of return. The market, I'm hitting market resistance now. If I just get one more job out of that $3,000 spend and my CAC goes through the roof, I'm still pulling down 12,000 off of Chuck's bigger jobs. See what I mean? So it's okay. That's why you hear Lauren talk about, run the damn lead, Eddie. Run the damn leads. I don't care that my cost is going to go 1.5 times or 2.5 times. It's about the extra jobs that come. And then when Juan gets that money, he is parlaying it. He doesn't let it sit. He's going to throw it back at Eddie. Go do it some more. Go do it some more. Hell, I bet you why Eddie's telling him to quit. Well, no, that's not a good idea. Eddie might not want to work that damn hard. He's like, well, if I run those extra leads for Luan, I got to go hire somebody now. Right? And George is laughing. You know, it's true, George. He's like, God, freaking guy over here growing his business, give me more money. Ah. But that's what we're doing when we're not parlaying our dollars. We're going, ah. So, Sean, when you think about that, it's a good question because it's real. And same thing for Chuck. I was like, oh, Chuck, you can take that money and go make $3.5 million and you can have, you know, all of this money in gross profit. If Chuck was able to do that and he outpaced his gross profit, right? Let's say that he can produce to outpace his overhead, outpace his overhead, and he utilized that money and do 3,000 a month instead of 100K. I literally just showed Chuck how to make $1.4 million in cash because that 1.4 million in gross profit would have had no bills to pay other than its cost of goods. So to think to have a blessing, how many of you guys would like to have $80,000 of free cash that had no commitments anywhere? And I would be like, have you guys lost your ever loving freaking mind? If you can produce, well, I can't produce 3.5 million. All right. Well, then you know what to focus on. Take 10 grand and put it in there a month or 2,500 and just do one more. Me personally, I'd hire whatever I needed to get that capacity up. Right. If I knew that I needed if I'm like stacked, man, and I can't run my equipment or I can't do this or that, I'm hiring a guy to run the equipment. I might not even have the dang leads for him yet. Because I can afford it, because all I got to do is just get one lead and one sell a job and get it produced, and I'm already ahead of the game. You know what I mean? So guys, quit focusing on the totality of all the things that have to go on with running your business. There's so much to do. I think most all of you guys have seen that little implementation calendar, and there's like 90 line items of things we can drop into like your little calendar, right? Let's keep it down to what is going to give you the capacity to just do one more job that I'm doing, but more than I'm doing now. It's going to be marketing. It's going to be sales, maybe design if you're in that arena, and production. What do I need? I need a PM. My PMs are smoked right now. It's smoked. Cool, go get a PM. Well, a good PM around here is 100K. That's like $8,500 a month. How am I going to get that guy? Well, what's your average sale? I don't know, like $10,000. Okay, are you keeping up with your overhead? Yep. Gross profit, 50 grand. Okay. 50% of 10 grand is 5K. How much do you need for a PM? 8K. Okay. So what's that going to, if you can do, you have to do how many jobs then to outpace his requirement? I need 2 jobs. Okay. So how do you get 2? How much is it going to cost you to get 2 jobs? Well, my client acquisition is 1,000. So how much more do you need to put into marketing? 2. Could you put 4 if you had to? Yeah. Put 4. Because your PM is going to be inefficient, right? You're going to pay a guy $8 grand a month to be able to take on what, 2 jobs? That's pretty idiotic. No, it's not. Because you need to get those 2 jobs to be able to have not only your 4K back in your pocket from the marketing side, but then you have an extra 2K that you didn't have before, even if he's only managing 2 jobs. But then I get to take the 2K and I put it back into my marketing, guys. And then pretty soon, in a couple months, guess what pops up? Boop. 3 jobs. See where I'm at with that? Now I've got my PM. He's running 3 jobs a month, and I'm making $7,000. And then I do it again. All right, y'all with me on that topic?
I think one thing that I find challenging, and maybe it's just my limiting belief, is that when you plan this out the way that you're talking about, Brian, in my mind's eye, I want to see like maybe 3 to 6 months of that being consistent before I'm willing to pull the trigger on moving ahead on it. Do you know what I mean? Like the idea of, oh, well, if I spend X, Y, and Z and I can get, like your example, if I spend the 2K and I get the extra job, I don't want to see that as one outlier and be like, yep, we're now hiring a PM. I want to see
Right.
that at least consistently for enough. I don't know what that number is, but in my mind, it at least make it happen 3 or 4 more times consistently before I'm willing to say, yep, let's invest in that.
And that's perfectly fine. Yeah, if you like that, want to have that consistency in your marketing guy, or that you can consistently run the leads to be able to get the job, or maybe your sales keeps up, right? You don't want to have a dip, right, and not close any of them. 100%. But what happens then is you at least, the encouragement is make the commit to the investment side of it. Right. If you have $100,000 to put, or 80,000 or 50,000 to buy a piece of equipment, or to buy an office building, or make a down payment on one because you want to buy it, whatever it may be, 100%, make the investment and go, but just make the investment. That's what I want to encourage people. Right. If you're, one thing we talked about with Sean is, how is the thing that you're going to buy going to create more opportunity? And Chuck, you might say, well, if I buy a piece of equipment, I can produce more work because, I don't have to worry about like a sub telling me that they're not available and therefore I don't have the equipment. Then we think about, okay, well, then you have to, pay for somebody to run the equipment or whatever. And so what does that do for profitability? Look at your production rate. We look at having our own piece of equipment and not being limited by subs, how much more money I could make. Perfect. And so therefore I need the equipment, but then we just go back to man, you could totally lease it. And I think, Chuck, it goes back to, I would assume, is the reason I buy it is because I don't have to worry about the consistency of all the other parts and pieces to have it available when I need it. If my marketing blows up, but I have stuff in the pipeline, I've got the equipment to build. If my marketing blows up and I'm making a lease payment and all of a sudden my jobs disappear, my opportunities disappear, there may come a time where I just don't have enough leads to make the payment. And so that's why I encourage guys, if you know that you can buy the thing and you have the cash, just put it to the side. Act like you don't have it. Give it to a family member or a friend. Oh, if I give it to my family members, they probably go on vacation with it, or so I ain't gonna do that. Give it to like a homie or like your pastor or something and say, hold on to this. Give it to an attorney and have them set it up so the payment comes out. But then you can utilize the other cash. So I get what you're saying, Chuck. Makes sense.
Okay.
The thing, and this conversation kind of kicked off a little bit from an earlier comment that somebody had made about the consistency thing. I can't remember what they said. I think it was my thing that popped in my head is, when you have a machine that is producing what you need to produce consistently at this point of just part of doing business for yourself, that should give you some confidence. And that's why I like having a piece of lead generation internally. Rehash, retarget, knocking on doors around the jobs I'm doing, putting my signs in the yard, leaving flyers behind the neighborhood when we're doing a job, maybe trying to hit a show or an event when it pops up randomly, whatever it may be. I want an active piece because I can always fall back on that. And if you're not doing something like that now, and you start doing it and you can see some consistent, maybe that's all you need to be able to jump into this. Jared's been walking and knocking doors and canvassing neighborhoods here and there when he's got the time, and he's gotten some results on it. Well, then the key would be like, Jared, don't knock doors. Go find somebody to knock the doors for you. Well, if I pay that person, that's probably what, $20 an hour, and then I got to do this and I got to do that. Yeah, but if you can do something to produce one more job that wasn't getting produced before, then you're paying for that canvasser plus. So if I went and sold a job today, if I went and knocked today, which probably could, if I went and knocked a job today and I sold it and I was able to produce it, as soon as I got that check, I'm already 2-3 weeks ahead of hiring and training a canvasser. Because if I'm knocking doors, I can't do the other stuff to build the business. So now I've already trained them up so that by the time I get that, or recruiting them, so the time I get that check, like they're next Friday, they're on payroll, so that they can go knock. And then while they're knocking, they're getting leads. Now I can go sell more. You know what I mean? Because I can't knock and sell so much. But when they're knocking, I can go sell. Boom, another job gets done. Well, if I'm knocking and selling, I'm probably starting to get a little behind on like follow-ups and client communication and stuff because I'm busy. So the next one, I'm going to hire a lead handler because they're knocking. I'm out selling. Now there's clients in our pipeline that need to be communicated with and kept up to date with. I'm probably PMing it myself. Right. And so I've got a lot on my plate. So I'm going to hire a lead handler, like an admin that can take the calls, but she can also do a few things for me, like call down to the office and get a permit or call a sub, get sub paper, whatever it may be. Now I'm doing more of it because my client communication's good. I've got more leads coming in because I'm actually converting them better because now somebody's actually paying attention to them coming in. And so when I get that next check and that next job sold, because I've got 2 jobs sold or 3 jobs sold. When I'm starting to accumulate this, and like you said, Chuck, I've got a consistency in my machine, then I'm hiring a production manager. Because we need to be consistent with our permits getting pulled adequately. I want to make sure my materials are getting ordered on time and accurately, because I'm probably not at this point. And then now what I have in the first 3, maybe 2 months of my business, I have a team. But what I've done is I've always parlayed my money. And when you talk about, Chuck, the consistency side of it, the only reason I have confidence in doing that is because I know that I have a machine that I can be consistent with. I know that I can get a door knocker to go out and make sure they hit payroll because I know I'm going to be able to sell the leads. And then if I can sell them, I already know that I have subs to produce them. It's all the mechanics in between that I'm going to probably drop the ball on 50% of it. I need somebody in to help. So I don't have to hold on to my money and hold on to it and hold on to it and hold on to it and keep knocking doors and keep knocking doors and keep knocking doors and keep knocking doors. And then hopefully I'll have enough time to sell a job. It becomes a constraint. And so what happens in our businesses, we get locked in the constraint side of it. We're afraid to take that one step because of the financial impact if it doesn't go well. But I don't know it's not going to go well. And if I know that I'm not good at ordering material and being timely and getting it done accurately, and so I'm like, gosh, I don't want to build more jobs because I can't just get this. There's people out there that can. And they're happy to come work for you, but I have to step out into it. And so it comes back to where Jordan came from, which is I'm just not real confident in my lead generation. So I don't want to go hire this person to help me order materials and be more consistent so we have a better experience and produce more, because I don't know when a lead's going to show up and when it's not.
One of the things along those lines, Brian, that recently I've discovered and made a huge difference is you have to, I've had to really develop just the whole streamlined plan map for my PM, that once I sell the job, once I get this job and I sell it, as a sales rep, I'm going to get all the info as detailed as possible to pass it on to you. And then you're going to contact the designer, stay in communication with the client, make sure the design is finalized to what they want. From there, then I'm using Monday.com I've created templates for bathroom remodels, commercial jobs, kitchens, every single thing that needs to happen in that project, from the design phase or the sales rep, or we call it discovery, design, then it's the planning. On the planning, make sure you get all the finished materials confirmed, all the building materials confirmed, again, down to the screw, down to the adhesive, every single thing. right? Did you schedule all the subs? Did you schedule, all the service, porta johns, whatever, dumpster bins you need to? Did you schedule, pre-construction meeting, you, the site super, the crew leader, whatever subs are involved? Everything is already streamlined that I already know. There is no way you can drop the ball if you just follow that process I laid out for you. Then after that, then we got site setup, which is the day we start everything that needs to happen that day. Then you have quality control for every single phase, from demo to framing to drywall to, stucco, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Everything, quality control. And then you have a decompression stage. And that's once we're about to wrap up. Are we cleaning everything inside the house? Do we have the professional cleaners scheduled? Do we have the punch list walkthrough scheduled and the execution date? Before we even present it to the client, we need to do our own, critical punch list walkthrough within our internal team. Make sure we dial that down, because we don't want the client coming in like, oh, this is not level, this is this, this is that. We saw it, we caught it, we handled it. By the time we present it to them, it's flawless. They should not be able to pick up on anything. And it's a repeated process that they can follow so easily, hold them all accountable. I just got to come in. Hey, how's this? Hey, what's up with this? Hey, what's going on with that? And that's it. But it's there. And it's the same process that any PM can follow, any site super can follow. And if you're dropping the ball, then it comes back to, what more do you want me to do for you? Do you want me to move your fingers for you and type them as well? Do you want me to make the phone calls for you? Like, how much easier can I make it for you? So that's one thing I've had to learn and discover right now. It's just get my system, my process streamlined, detailed. Takes time, getting it set up. But now in the long run, that thing has just really paid off. Now I'm not as stressed. Now I'm more laid back. Now I can enjoy my Saturdays. Now I can, be off by 12, by noon today, go have dinner with my wife, or lunch, and then my kids are off today, take them to go play soccer, whatever. But it really did take some intentional set time aside, plan, develop it, strategize it, explain it, and coach them. And understand, there's going to be hiccups along the way, but that's how you improve, you coach, you get better to the point where they get there. Now my PM is on top of things, proactive, and he's on it. And he's all like, hey, I already got the stuff for the next job order delivered. Doesn't start till 2 weeks later, but everything's on site already. Like, bam, so again, now because I have that, now we can ensure that we're protecting the funds. We're not wasting time by making daily trips to the suppliers, to Home Depot, to Lowe's, to lumber, whatever, because everything was accounted for and then some. So that helped us now really hold our profits. Now we know we're going to have this money left over in profit, what we planned for. Now I can think for next month, this amount goes to marketing, this amount goes to this amount goes to that.
Well,
That's been
it takes
a really
time.
key thing.
George and I were, it was a one time early on. And so a lot of it was just getting that mindset of like, hey, you just got to produce. Once you can produce, then you can work on things. And here's the things to work on. And one thing George was very intentional about is like he was always coming with the next implementation item, the next little process, right? And the process wasn't, I've got 96 things to work on. It's the thing that needs to be worked on is what helps him get to that one more job produced. Because that's it, right? It's just, so here's the one constraint I have is I think at one time, George was trying to expand and work with companies that worked in different markets, right? His team was getting deployed to even different states sometimes. So it's like, okay, well, you got to have a traveling PM. You need somebody who's going to be able to have a team of guys and then oversee that, because you can't travel to that state and do all the other things that you want to do, right? So what do we have to do to set a PM up for George's expectations of what that looks like so that that guy can act in his stead? So eventually George got to a point where it's like, okay, I get this now. Like, I understand the totality of what this looks like. And then boom, off he went. And now he's doing his thing and it's going well. And you can hear kind of where he's at. That's the goal for all of you guys, to get to that point where there's that shift. All it is just a shift that goes, this is the game, right? The game is, I need to produce one more job and I need to only focus on the things that are going to help me create that cash so that I can get some help to be able to get a team to go out to this and work with this, franchise that's building out a bunch of locations. and I want to be their guy for this area of the country. Right. And so if I needed 3 teams of that, it's over. Well, oh my gosh, they want me to build 3 more teams out. No, it's just, what do you need to do to build out 1 team? Because if you can build the flow for 1 team, you can replicate it to 3. Don't think about 3 teams. And you don't even need to think about the people. What you need is a PM. You need to build out 2 more PMs. But you already have that done. You know what I mean? Like, let's break it down and keep it simple, because we can get overwhelmed real fast. It's a lot. So Mr. Luan went out with me to Las Vegas, and I was laughing at him because the little sessions we were in were incredibly data heavy. Right? Spreadsheets and charts and arrays and all of that stuff. And Luan's like, I think I can get to 20 million as long as I don't have to do all that bull crap. I don't want charts and arrays and, all of that stuff. But it's super funny because, like, at the same time, I know Luan, and he's walking. I wouldn't be surprised if today he's got some little charts and spreadsheets set up or something like that. But all that stuff doesn't matter, because see what they've already figured out? They've already figured out how to create, produce, sell, get jobs, collect checks, and amass a lot of money. Now what they're doing is saying, how do I use information to squeeze as much as I can out of all of these people and all of these processes and all these things we got going on? Right? So that's my encouragement for you guys is cash utilization. When you're creating it, you have to think about, how am I going to utilize it to do it again? And don't tie your cash up into stuff that it is a sunk cost that you're not going to be able to get it back out and utilize it. Leverage it. Don't hold on to it. Even if you don't have a lot, especially if I don't have a lot. If I started my business, that first check, if I started with nothing and knocked a door and sold a job, I'm not a big one on using deposits for overhead personally. But if I could produce it and collect it, and I know that I get my GP on the backside, I'm literally trying to spend as much as I can of it to help me get 2. To help me get 2. And then when I get it, I'm going to spend that check, man. I'm spending it. And I'll pay myself the commission as a sales guy, because my commission is already built into my cogs. So I'll just pay. That's how I'll earn my money, is I'll pay myself my commission. Don't sell a job, don't get paid. Right? But I'm gonna get some help. Good stuff, George. You do have to build out the processes. You do. If I hire a door knocker, you know what I'm going to need? I'm going to need a door knocking SOP. But the SOP is built off of me knocking a door. Boop, phone up in the air. Oh, wait a minute. I got bars. Woo! I got bars on Wi-Fi. Hold on a second. Am I in there? No. Am I in? Oh, there we are. I'm going to knock a door. When I knock a door, it's going to be like, psh. All right, guys, hey, we're on knocking doors today. And so one of the things I do before I approach a door is I just kind of get my mindset right? People are going to respond to your energy. So I've been knocking doors all day. It's 100 degrees outside. I'm super sweaty and hot, right? Maybe I need to take a little break and get some water, but I need to have good energy when I walk up to the door, even if I'm not feeling that. So this is what I do to do that. Boom, end the call. Right? Hey, guys, I'm knocking doors. So if I look at the neighborhood right now, you can see that it's really, really spread out. But here, look across the way. You see that neighborhood, how it's real dense? If I'm running out of time and I haven't had good results, I'm going to dip this neighborhood because it's big, long driveways and it's big properties. I'm going to go over there to that neighborhood where the houses are literally right next to each other. It's just reps. The more doors I knock, the more opportunities I have for somebody to answer. Right? So think about that. If you're just having a rough day knocking doors, you're not getting the results. You look for dense neighborhoods so you can get more opportunity in. Boop, turn the phone off. Doesn't have to be really slick production. They just need the information. Right? So that utilization, parlay it, keep stacking, find the constraint of why you can't get it done, fix it, keep it simple, keep rolling. All right. Any last questions before we head out? Not necessarily even on that topic. Something you might have thought about since we've been chatting that you guys need a little juice on before we wrap it up for today.
They clearly want to sell this deck right now.
No, one's probably ordering a pizza or something like that.
You know, one quick tidbit on the door knocking is, you know, like, and so we don't door knock, but we knock on the jobs that we're starting, and we've had real good success. You know, we talk about the Google and the Facebook and adding another marketing stream, just the knocking, and probably that means 30 to 40 houses. Every one we've got one decent job out of. So it's real simple, and I've been doing a lot of that myself, and just it's like an hour and a half and knocking Luan off his seat. Can somebody mute his camera? Yeah. But just, it's so simple, you guys, so simple, just to make and if no one told me, I make a little flyer and a signs up down the street anyway, so people are walking the neighborhood and driving by, so they see us, and then they see our name on the door, and they're not
right,
you know. So
right. There you go, Sean. There you go. I got you, buddy. There you go. There you go.
Oh, what is it? Proactive marketing.
Yeah.
Be a lead getter, not a lead receiver. You know why Facebook and Google is expensive? Why is that?
Because you're hiring someone to be
everybody does it.
Getter.
Yeah.
Because everybody you pay for the cost of eyeballs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the eyeballs is always going to go up. Always going to go up. And I was at this convention in Vegas, and I just looked through the booklets, and some of these guys are running, 13-20% marketing costs. And some of the guy that doing 2-3 million running 15% marketing costs. What if you can get that down to like 5%? You know where that 10% go to? Straight into my fucking pocket.
Daddy.
You know,
Google's the lead getter. That's all it is.
Yeah.
You're paying somebody else to be the lead getter. Google's already doing all the work on the back end and all the algorithms and all the built out back end infrastructure to what? Get eyeballs on your stuff. That's what you're paying for.
And then you go and qualify that lead.
But the thing I love about like being in control of it and having some aspect of it is, number one, it's probably cheaper, in the volume wise, probably not, but that one-off acquisition, it's faster for sure. I could literally go out today and get a lead. Like I can go end up and I can sit at a kitchen table today, 100% guaranteed. Right? I just got to knock enough doors, have enough conversations. Right? The other one is that it's going to be cheaper. Right? It's cheap. And number two, I am able to discern the qualification process while I'm sitting there talking to that person. If I'm at a home show, I'm standing in front of the person. I can start to ask questions and get an idea of whether that's my ideal client or not. Why? Because I'm literally talking to them. Right? That's why you need volume in Google, but you don't need that much volume on home shows, knocking, canvassing, whatever, because I'm having a conversation with someone. Right, you're building relational equity right off that they can feel the same whether you're the right vibe for them or not. But guys, you're already on the job site. You're there. You're already there. Go across the street. You can point to the work being done. Your social proof is already there. Your know, like, and trust is 40% there. You can use being there as an offer. Hey, you know what? I don't know, Sean, if you were thinking about doing that type of project, but it's much more efficient for having our guys just in the neighborhood. Sometimes I can even split crews and save people a little bit money there. So if it's something you guys are considering, and I think we've got a couple days for these guys wrapped up, maybe we can have a conversation after dinner today, and I can give you an idea what it might take to get this done. If it doesn't work, that's fine. You're much further ahead than you were before, we showed up across the street, right? At least you have a number. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, come on by. Boom, $30,000. I know where I'm starting my next job. So think about Sean, right? And Sean has a client acquisition cost. Let's call it, I'll just use a goofy number, $1,000. Average sale of 30 grand. He goes and knocks across the street. Now he's got 60,000. How much did he spend to get those 2 jobs? $1,000. Guess what his marketing cost just did? Did it double? Did it increase or did it decrease?
Yeah, halved.
Halved. Halved. Everybody go back and look at your P&L, pull your P&L down for your, year to date for your last reconciled month and take your marketing spend and cut it in half. Do you know how much money that is? I know for me, it would have been 6 figures in my pocket, but it was because we knocked and door knocked. We rehashed and retargeted. You know why you're rehashing and retargeting is another advantage to your marketing cost? You've already spent the money to get it into your database. It's already there. It's sitting. It's not doing anything. And there's people that said they were going to do it and they didn't do anything. The guy didn't show up for the estimate they said they were supposed to get to be able to make a decision for you. The guy never showed up. And their deck still isn't done, and their kitchen still isn't done, and their house still isn't painted, and they still don't have the landscaping. They don't have it, and they forgot about it because their kid lost their freaking brain and punched somebody in the playground, and now they're in front of the freaking school board trying to figure out if their kid's going to be able to go to school there or not, and they're not thinking about their deck anymore until you call them. And then you get to get your marketing dollars back out of your database. Just a thought. But I'm busy. Too busy.
Making a lead shit 5 ways.
So guys, we don't need SOPs and spreadsheets, and I talk about that, right? I talk about, you should make a spreadsheet and you should track this and track that and get more information. Yes, the purpose if I'm suggesting that is to be able to get the information to get you past the struggle of what's keeping you from the one more job. You just don't have the data to decide what to do, and so you're stuck. That's the purpose of the spreadsheet, is to give you the information, to give you, like Chuck said, like consistency. Hey, Chuck, well, your marketing isn't working great. You're not your ROI is a little wonky right now, but it's okay to have a 15% marketing cost because you can still spend the money and still get $3 out of 1 instead of 10. So spend the money to go get the $3, but and I'm just using Chuck as an example. It's not speaking to him, but you're holding on to your $1 because it's not making 10, but it can still make 3. And then through the course of making it make 3 over and over again, we'll learn how to get it to 5 and then 8 and then 10. Right? So, yeah, that's the deal. I got to bounce. I appreciate you guys. If you have any questions about this, just reach out to me. Keep pushing. One more. Right? Cash utilization. Go get it and get one more. Go knock a door. T-knock a job. Let's try to get one more. T-knock 3 jobs and get one more. And if you feel like you can't produce it, you can't sell it, you can't do whatever, go figure it out, because it just takes one more. And that'll transform your business from making $100,000 a year to literally $1 million net profit, because you've been focusing on that one more. And the growth of the trajectory, if you can do that every month, is going to be exponential. It's going to be huge, because again, you're outpacing your overhead, and that's net profit dollars. And that's the goal. Everybody needs to build to outpace overhead, get net profit dollars, and then do it as much as you can, as often as you can. All right. Rachel, what's up? Thanks for joining. We're getting ready to bounce. glad you could pop on.
Yeah, sorry I was so late. I didn't see it until now.
No problem. I love to get to meet you. So,
Guys, if you want to bounce, cool. Let's wrap up for today. I've got a few minutes to prep or something. Rachel, why don't you just hang on for just 2 minutes, and then
Sure.
I'd love to get a chance to just chat with you a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, guys,
Thanks,
take care.
Brian.
Have a great
Thanks,
week.
guys.
No drinking, no smoking, no parties unless we're invited.